What is Thriving Bhakti all about? Well, there's so many podcasts out there. There's so many channels out there now for devotees. So what's the need of another one? Well, I think this is a very, very important one because it's about actually having a vehicle and having assistance and the training and skill set to help devotees go the distance when so many devotees are struggling with their rounds, struggling with their reading, struggling with dealing with the habits to be successful. What's unique about Thriving Bhakti? What makes it really special? Because I address and not only address the issue around why devotees are stuck, why they may be plateauing, why they may be feeling like they're not really meeting the standards of being a leader, whether that's in the family or whatever, is because there's one really big reason. There's a belief and an assumption that is going on that I think needs to be addressed. And it's kind of common sense. It means that when we take up spiritual life and we take vows, we don't maybe understand, maybe some of us, maybe some of you do. So if you do, then this isn't relevant for you. But we don't necessarily, and most of us haven't been trained or have the mindset of success. We don't necessarily understand growing up through the schooling systems and parent role modeling and our life experiences in most societies, in most Western societies and education systems. We just learn how to have a fixed mindset. And here we are trying to be devotees, trying to be successful, and we have a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset. And we haven't got the skills and the mindset to help have the necessarily discipline and emotional resilience and practicality of how to change habits and keep habits over time. Because everything we do in the beginning stages of bhakti and onwards, especially in the anartana vritti through the anishta bhajana kriya, unsteady devotional service, if you're going to go the distance, you're going to need more than just a hope or a wish or an intention. So many devotees have this wish and this intention that, I'm going to follow my vows, I'm going to do my reading, woohoo, and then you get married, you get a job, and it all goes to pot. And even those who've been in ashrams, generally when you're in ashrams, we're there, we do some training, we spend a few years in the brahmachari ashram or in a contemporary ashram, which I run. I've had 10 years experience of running a contemporary Vedic ashram here in New Zealand. I deal specifically and a specialist in not just having men come to bhakti through the outreach programs, but they live with me. They live with me and my family, my wife and my son, and we see them over 2 to 3 to 4, 5 years it takes to build them into the resilient, thriving sadhakas they need to be in order to go the distance for the 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Just spending a bit of time in an ashram, yes, it does get some training there, but usually we're just doing it because we have to. It's just part of the program, but we might not have learned how to get rid of limiting beliefs, and we may not have taken on board the mindset that is necessary to go forward decade after decade to be successful. So I culminate my experience with entrepreneurs, being an entrepreneur myself, understanding success mindset in other arenas. These things are really important. These principles and habits of success that you see in other arenas like sport or finance, in education. In order to be successful in those arenas, you've got to have a certain mindset. You have to have certain skill set, and you also need to be able to execute. And you have to have the ingredients there to make sure it happens. Now, there are particular devotees who that just sort of comes naturally, or it's been role modeled, or they've kind of picked up things as they go along. But if we're going to go the distance in bhakti, and I hope you do, then you need more ingredients. And that is key to thriving bhakti. What we do in Thriving Bhakti and the programs I run and the podcasts that you can go and listen to, they all about getting you to have daily practical things that you can engage in and be part of a community and part of accountability so you can be there consistently. It's not a course, a weekend japa retreat. All those things have their place. But generally, I find devotees who go off and do courses and retreats and things, it shifts them. But then what happens is over time, gradually, things go defaulting again, because what has not been addressed is the mindset and the limiting beliefs we have brought into bhakti from our previous Krishna consciousness. And we feel it's just us. I mean, have you ever, maybe you're someone out there who is trying to improve in their bhakti. And by the way, bhakti is not just, thriving bhakti is not just for struggling devotees who are struggling with the basic sadhana. So that's the first thing to address, of course. It's also for those who feel like they've plateaued. Like, I'm just ticking off, I'm just cruising in bhakti, when we should be enthused and thriving and building a vision and dream. So I take basically bhaktas, whether they're new or old or veterans, who feel they're stuck, and I take them on a journey of life. And over a period of time, 6 months to a year, they actually start to build a vision and set goals in bhakti. So let's think about this fixed mindset for a second. What is a fixed mindset? Well, it's the idea that I am the way I am. I can't seem to get out of this situation because my circumstances have forced me to be here. I'm overwhelmed, what I call the overwhelmed and struggling bhakta. What can I do? My circumstances are so busy. Sometime in the future, I'll get it together. Or we use humility, humble schmumble, I call it, the humble schmumble factor. Well, who am I anyway? What can I really do? I'm just a worm in stool. I'm just a tiny, insignificant, what can I do? And we use this false humility to limit our capacity in quality and quantity of our service. This kind of idea that we are just kind of how we are and we can't transform. But for me, well, my understanding is bhakti is transformation. It's about breaking out of boundaries and limitation of matter and mind. It's all about growing. And I remember being stuck like that, thinking, oh, well, I'm old now. What can I do? I see even older devotees, they've been around and they're just kind of winding down when we should actually be getting more and more excited. We should be expanding. And you see those devotees in our movement who are, in material age, still doing so much, being so influential, always pushing the boundaries. So thriving bhakti is about starting with the basics, getting our sadhana sorted out, and understanding that if nothing changes, nothing will change. It's not about necessarily changing what you're doing. First, you have to change how you think. Again, it's all about consciousness. It's all about shifting the mind, getting the mind to a higher state, a higher level of modal state, and then engaging in the right activities. Let me chuck some beliefs and things I hear regularly or have heard regularly. And I've said to myself also, things like, it's only those special devotees, those who are mystic yogis in their last life, who have good karma. They're the ones who are able to have good sadhana and do great things. They're those special devotees. So let's parallel that in life. When people see famous people get to positions, right? They look, oh, they're amazing. They're so special. But no one looks at the 20 years of struggle they took to get there. No one's interested in the invisible. When they're not famous, they're invisible. No one sees the decades and decades, the great sports people, the great bands and musicians and actors. They went through struggle of years, but you only see them when boom, they come into the limelight. So as bhaktas, even with new bhaktas, we see, these gurus, that gurus, these amazing devotees. But you haven't seen that they all went through 10, 20 years of purification, as we call it, or should we say hard work and commitment. So in thriving bhakti, I remove and just put aside for now Krishna conscious terms and just talk about them in common sense, in ordinary language. Purification means hard work for the purpose of growing and learning and getting ahead, which is a principle in any arena. If you want to go to the Olympics, which is a classic, the Olympics, I decide I want to be a runner. I want to go to the Olympics. That's 4 years away. Wow. Is that just going to happen automatically? Just by thinking about it? No, I'm going to have to change my diet, my lifestyle. I'm going to need a coach who has the results, who's been to the Olympics, a top coach. I'm going to have to fit things around my habits and running and my training, all around my family and my working life. And are there days I'm going to want to quit? Are there days where it's raining and I don't want to go out for a run? Yes. But someone who wants to go to the Olympics gets up anyway. So the idea of sadhana and getting up and chanting our rounds and having to do it out of duty, this is a principle in any arena of life. But we generally grow up now, these material handicaps and disabilities we carry into bhakti to some extent. So it's good to have a reflection, meaning, well, what's the belief? Oh, it's so hard for me to, year after year with children and working to actually get my sadhana, my 16 rounds in. That sometime in the future it will happen. But if you're going to the Olympics, I mean, your goal is to go to the Olympics. Like, we want to be Krishna conscious. It's a huge goal. That's not going to get you there. What's going to get you there is that I have this expectation. The belief behind this, I have this expectation that there will be a perfect time in the future to start. There will be a time in the future where I'll be ready. But someone who's got their date to go to the Olympics never thinks like that. They know in 4 years that I can't waste a day. I have to train all according to the plan of the mentor. I have to continue to execute that diet, that regime, the daily habits. The daily habits have to be there whether I feel like it or not. And it's going to be hard work, because behind this idea that it should be automatic and why is it so hard is because we're not accepting that it is just hard. Hard is life. Success means it's hard. And you have to choose your hard. You choose not getting where you want and having to live every day not being satisfied with yourself, where your sadhana or spiritual life is at, that it's not enthusiastic. That's hard to live with. Or you choose the hard to do something about it. You see, this is a mindset. I'm just giving you a taster of how I get devotees to shift their thinking, and so that they can actually from the inside build belief and hope and get the stamina and the intelligence to move forward. And not only that, Thriving Bhakti gives you a scientific program of how to set goals, how to map out and be accountable on a day-to-day, do simple things that's going to move you progressively forward. And you do that in a tracking and accountability way that's ongoing, not just like a week or a month. It's an ongoing program. And I already have students, so many students in my program who have just within 30 to 60, 90 days, we do them in 30-day cycles. They have actually broken through boundaries that they never thought was possible, because our current thinking, where we are right now, where you are right now, in terms of your devotional life and your habits in your life and all areas of your life, you are exactly where you are because of the way that you think. Your thinking has got you to where you are. So if you want to go beyond the box of your current thinking, you have to change the way you think. So this is how deep Thriving Bhakti goes. This is why it's unique. This is why it's incredible. This is why people are having transformations in such a short time. I've had one lady, Bhakti Hetel. She was a single mom, and she was sporadically chanting and barely reading. Within 30 days to 60 days, she is up to 10 rounds a day, managing, getting her mindset, her accountability, learning how to set goals so she can actually achieve and start moving forward in her bhakti. So this is a little taster. There are lots of hidden beliefs of how we remain stuck, why we may be plateaued, why Krishna consciousness isn't exciting anymore. In Thriving Bhakti, I just get down to common sense and just ordinary language, ordinary explanations that even non-practitioners are using. Obviously, I'm not Krishna in the center. So those who are trying to achieve sports, in finance, entrepreneurs, success-minded people are applying the same principles, the same necessary mindset and principles and skill sets. But obviously, we're not Krishna in the center. So nothing's going to happen automatically in your bhakti life, just automatic. This is another misconception I address. We think that, oh, it's just automatic. I just chant my rounds and everything's automatic. Well, no, If that was true, why did Prabhupada give us so many volumes of books to read so we can know the ingredients and the lifestyle and the components to make bhakti actually thrive? All the actions we need to do on top of the chanting to get the right quality of chanting, to understand the chanting. So I give this analogy. It's like making a loaf of bread. I have a bread maker. So we get all the ingredients together, right? All the ingredients have to be a certain size, very specific. I put all the ingredients together, then I put them in the machine. I set the time. I follow the instructions. I do the doing. I have to put effort in. I have to make time. I have to do those things. And I put in the bread maker. And if I do it right, if I use my intelligence, my creativity, my imagination, and I put everything together and I put it in the bread maker, then I get a loaf of bread automatically because I followed a process. So automatic means, if we're wondering why isn't things happening? I'm chanting, but are you putting all the ingredients together, actively doing all the ingredients that automatically produces the bread? The bread doesn't happen automatically without me, the player, taking responsibility to do the actions, to use all the ingredients, to follow the process. Then I get a loaf of bread. And I think these kinds of misconceptions or beliefs, or maybe things we haven't thought about, can really be holding us back in terms of thriving in bhakti. So today I just wanted to, if this resonates with you and you resonate with who I am, not everyone will, but if you resonate with me, then continue to follow my channel, like my channel, maybe make some comments. If anything resonates with you, if this doesn't resonate with you, there's plenty of other channels and devotee podcasts and channels that you can connect to. I have no qualms. I'm just happy to, those who resonate with me and the way I do things and what I'm about and the Thriving Bhakti program, I'm happy to continue to feeding you with the kind of things that I've learned around success and habits. And I have a brand. I use this on non-devotee. I have a non-devotee outreach program called Entrepreneurs, where I blend bhakti and entrepreneurship, and I use this language and get them into habits and getting good habits and training, because you need that in life, in any arena. So bhakti does require, and it's not necessarily you automatically genetically have them. You don't have to remain stuck. You can learn at any stage of your life, age or whatever. Understand that we are a journey of habits. And if you can't master habits, how are we ever going to get to the higher stages of bhakti? And you may think it's personal. It's just the way I am. I'm just not cut out for this. It's too difficult. It's impossible. Those beliefs are wrong. And if you're running them in the background and staying where you are, then that's a tragedy. Because right now, anyone in any situation can learn these skill sets, learn this mindset and apply it. And that's the transformations that happen to all of my students in Thriving Bhakti. You all have the opportunity, but we didn't necessarily have them. We don't grow up in a society that's taught you the mindsets and skill sets and habits and how to take accountability, how to have the ingredients for success. So we've come to Krishna consciousness, yay! And we got some training in chanting and reading, and then you're off into the world. So when materially we've been bereft of skill sets and success, and also spiritually. So you've come to bhakti, and many of us need to understand, we need to get on top of our mindset, our material mindset and negative thinking, limiting beliefs that's holding us back, and learn anyone the skill set that can really help us manage our time, and have the solution orientation mindset and growth mindset that can really help us to thrive in bhakti. And one last thing, this growth mindset I keep talking about is the mindset in perfection of the spiritual entrepreneur. Like Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, they're always in a growth mindset, never limiting beliefs. Lord Chaitanya says, just by remembering me, the possible becomes impossible and the impossible becomes possible. So anything can happen. We can transform, we can break out of things, but it doesn't happen automatically. It happens through the application of the science of principles and success applied to Lord Chaitanya's movement and Lord Chaitanya's instructions. All right, love to hear your comments. Please like this channel, and I'm looking forward to doing some more broadcasts. Hare Krishna.